Welcome to the Keystone Keys podcast. This is Keystone Mortgage Solutions. Miss Lindsay Weber, Kayla McDonald is here today, myself, Regan Weiss, and Mr. Nick Holmes, the CEO of The Contractor. What's going on? Really, thanks, guys, for the excitement. Real cool, guys. We have wonderful glasses of water. I also have a hot cup of cocoa. We have the Wizard of Pods behind us. Jesse is there. Hello, Jesse. We got to get you mic'd up, dude, because when I got to get you mic'd up. I got to hear you in here. And then also Josh is here with The Contractor doing social media in the background as well. All right, so we are here to talk about barndominiums. We're here to talk about real estate because we were talking, a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was on. You couldn't make the meeting. They pulled me. They pulled number 2 in. Thanks, bro.
I'm sorry.
So whatever happened. And then
Somebody's got to meet with all the clients.
So, man, I have nothing to say. So then we were doing an interview, but then I was getting all spotty. So you girls had some questions. I'm here.
Isn't the word. We were like, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Cartoon character.
And then some of it was really good stuff.
It was good, so that's why we wanted to come in.
So we're back. So we're both here. You get the best of both worlds, number 1 and number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Ask away. Nick's here. I'm going to make sure we're live on
Number
everything.
1 spot. Oh.
Yes, you were. I said you're 1. I literally said 1 and 2.
Different answers.
Look at the camera. I'm okay with that. All right, everyone out there, I'm okay with that. All right, go ahead. Number 1, Mr. Holmes. Ask away.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people were interested and they were like, we couldn't hear. Regan was like upside down and sideways at one point, and then I think he might have been like driving through a dirt road. It was shaking, and it got weird. But I know a lot of people were very, very interested and are looking forward to hearing more about it. So if you want to just start off by introducing yourself and how you got started. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you have a history, you have another business, your drafting service, so this isn't just a new venture for you.
Right.
So it's just kind of morphing into another company. So.
Yeah, we'll kind of give the short version of this, right? So went ahead and I've got a drafting company. We do blueprints and engineering for residential, commercial, all kinds of stuff. Started kind of seeing a need for barndominiums in general. Okay, so what started happening with us is back in 2015, we did our first barndominium plan. And it was up in Wildwood, Florida. We got a couple throughout the years after that. It really didn't kick off until probably the end of 2018. We started seeing heavy in Florida. It's probably 2020, right before COVID, like full swing. I think we did 12 plans that year for barndominiums, and they were all being done by owner builders. So nobody had a contractor. It was just, hey, I've got land. I want to put this up myself. I'm going to pay somebody to put the shell up, and I'm going to finish the inside. Well, the problem that everybody was having is that nobody could find people to do the shells. Yeah. So a lot of the metal building side of things, people want to go ahead and, especially the companies that put them up, it's the same thing as commercial, right? So you're kind of competing with that commercial market. So anything smaller than 6,000 square foot, a lot of people weren't touching.
Right.
So, we had these owners that we sold plans to, and they're coming back to us saying, hey, do you know anybody who can put this up for me? And at that point in time, the answer was no. So once we started seeing a bigger interest, we started kind of looking into, okay, well, this might be something we can get into. And, I've got a background in construction anyway. Straight out of college, I went over to the Villages, so kind of trial by fire over there, right? So we had the construction background anyway, just kind of made sense to transition into opening a company doing it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool. You saw the need in the market and the interest in it, and you're trying to really bridge that gap. Mm-hmm. And one thing that we talked about, which is a major factor, is the affordability of them.
Yeah.
Super affordable.
Yeah, so and that's, starting at the beginning of COVID, prices got crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure you guys saw that in just the housing market in general. Sale prices almost tripled, right? Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, on the metal building side of things, metal stayed pretty constant because of the commercial need. So a lot of these buildings, barndominiums are essentially a commercial building that we build out the interior of for residentials. So if you think about, most of your metal buildings, anyway, offices, we're building out a metal building and we're building out frame offices inside with some warehouse space. It's the same concept on a house. We're essentially building out the house and you leave a garage. So a lot of that material demand was still in place for the metal, which kept prices a little bit more steady throughout everything. Now, we did have, obviously, a presidency that put some tariffs on China and affected some steel prices a little bit. but most of that manufacturing ended up coming back stateside. So once they figured their stuff out on that side, it kind of all leveled out, and that's why we can find that affordability. It's, you're cutting out a lot of additional trades that don't need to be involved. So you don't have block, you don't have trusses that need to be set, you don't, so that's a block mason, that's a framer that has to set the trusses, you got a roofer that has to go ahead and set the roof. It's all being done by a metal building company now.
So a lot of labor and a lot of material.
A lot of
really-
labor, a lot of time. The big thing is time. So if you think about how long it takes to set like a normal block house, you got probably a week in setting the block. You got probably, a few days in setting trusses, bringing another crew to go ahead and actually deck the roof and put the roofing material on. All that's done in like 12 days for metal buildings.
That's insane.
Yeah.
More importantly, too, tell them about how transparent we're going to be about cure time for concrete.
Well, so and that's a big thing for us.
Right.
So within 3 days, you get most of your strength out of concrete. It's been kind of an industry accepted practice that, within a week you can start setting block on concrete. What we're doing is we're giving a full 28-day cure time for the concrete actually set before we ever put metal on it.
Okay.
That's due to a couple factors. So when you're doing metal buildings, you have concentrated loads in specific parts of that concrete slab. It's not like a regular block wall where it's going to be kind of evenly spread out across the entire outside. It's wherever those columns are at, that's where most of the load for the actual building comes in at. So we want to give it that full 28 days cure before we ever put anything on it.
That's smart. I mean, that really, I think that will give a lot of people, because I'm sure you've heard it, how, these big builders are just throwing houses up and they're slapping them up, and then a couple years later they're starting to see issues and stucco issues and foundation issues. So I think that's another huge
That's
important.
happening within a year on a lot of the projects.
Yeah.
And the reason why, too, for curing, because a lot of these people want that industrial look and they want that pure concrete floor. So if we're letting this cure properly, it's going to be less cracking, when you're letting it cure before, like Nick said, we put iron on it. So, because that is the look. It's that industrial look, or a lot of people want that luxury vinyl planking right now, but we just want to be able to give that option.
Yeah.
Well, and with the barndominiums, we're kind of seeing two different routes of people going. So you're seeing people that want the industrial look, and you're also seeing people that want the real farmhouse look. So a lot of woods, a lot of whites and blacks, and just contrast that way. So on the industrial side, we're seeing a lot of the people come in just, hey, we want stained concrete floor.
Yep.
It's
Which I think is awesome, too.
I think it's all.
And remember, you can heat the floor too now, right? So you have these heating spaghetti strap elements that they actually put in the concrete, and then they go all throughout the concrete, and you can have heated floors, which is
That's so
awesome.
cool. There's a house in my neighborhood that I would buy.
Just because of the heated floor.
It's pretty cool.
It's Florida. The floor really never gets that cold. You feel like
It's
it
in their
gets that cold?
bathroom or something. I thought
I
it was
mean,
cool.
it's nice in bathrooms, and
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people are used to having carpet in bedrooms, right?
Yeah.
It's that kind of warm, cozy feeling. Doing at least the heated floors in bedroom areas,
Right.
it makes sense.
What a world we're living in that we can have our floors heated.
I know. And driveways.
And driveways.
I have to bring it up. There's heated toilet seats right here. in this building.
Yes, there is.
I was
so
going to say
weird.
that, isn't there, the
Yes.
heated toilet seat? That was the first thing when I came here. She told me, she's like, oh, this doll
Go with
over
that
here.
one.
And I'm like, okay.
Nick is aware of heated toilet seats. As number 2, I actually go and warm it for him beforehand.
Oh,
Yeah, just with a
way
cloth.
too much.
Yeah. That's why he's number 1, I guess. So, what is the take from the realtor side of things? Like, why are people interested in barndominiums? All right, so realtor, mortgage broker. Let's hear your side.
So a couple things for me. I mean, we're all on social media, and a lot of people see these beautiful barndominiums out in Texas, Tennessee. It's just something that has been, I guess, advertised and almost lavished over.
Right.
And now it's actually here. It's possible. It's in Florida. It's affordable. It's quick. You can customize it. And I think that that's something that people are seeing. Like, wow, this person has this beautiful property and this beautiful house, and the whole country vibe and feel is in.
Right.
So they want that, and it's actually attainable. Versus going into, let's say, like a cookie cutter neighborhood, and they're paying double or triple the price, and then they have HOA fees, and there's just all these things that are stacked up on top of it, and the quality really just isn't there.
Right.
So I think there's a couple things. that on the real estate side, and I see, people are wanting that in like seclusion too. People are
Yeah,
wanting
there it is.
to be
Yeah.
on a bigger property and away from people. And COVID had a huge
Yep, we
role
literally
play
just
in
talked
that.
about that in
Yeah.
the last interview, and with Mandy, COVID has changed the way people think, the way people live, the way people work, I mean, the way kids
Everything.
study, everything.
Well, and that was part of the biggest things that we were seeing just on the plan side, right? So, first of all, we were seeing people that wanted office spaces built into their houses. We're doing additions for that kind of stuff. And then it was the multi-generational homes that we saw a huge influx towards of, kids
Yeah.
moving back in or parents moving back in with the kids and just consolidating houses.
These things are more expensive, and that's the way they used to do it. That's how they got by before.
That's exactly
That's
it.
how I grew up, Nick. Like, so it was New Jersey, and we had a multi-level house, and we had 2 kitchens. So I had a kitchen upstairs for us, and then my grandmother lived downstairs because her father, her husband passed away, and then grandma just moved in. Like that's how it was normal, Then she passed away, and my brother got the cool place with the kitchen. And I got the shaft again. But but all those houses were like that up north, and then for some reason that just went away. Like that was like 70s, 80s, and then like done, and everyone had their old place in the 90s because I think everything was so affordable as well during that time. But now because the prices have hiked up so much, every house that I go to, especially during the remodeling times, there's so many multiple families living there together. I don't know how they do it. God bless them, but they do.
Yeah, I mean, and I see it more and more where kids are coming back home or parents are coming back home. Just before I came here, I had
Right.
a past client say, hey, can we see this house? And I'm like, you're moving again? This is the
Wow.
second time in the last 3 years. And I think second time. Yeah, no wait, maybe third. I can't remember. But he's like, yeah, my son and his family and us, we want to move in together. And I was like, okay, well, here we go again. But that's, I'm seeing it more and more, and these are the conversations that I'm having with people, almost every week.
Yeah. The couple we just met in Golden Acres, remember? With
Yeah.
the 2 lakes.
Yeah.
Father moving in.
Yeah.
Different life. And it's becoming the norm. So, actually, Nick, so let's
Well,
talk about that
you
for a
got to
second.
think about that too. I mean, a lot of people are migrating to Florida right, for whatever reason. I think a lot of it might be temporary that they're living with family again, but a lot of it. Think about some of the occupations that people are having. Like we had a whole traveling nurse movement,
Yeah.
right? So nurses sold their houses, went wherever they needed to go, and they're coming back.
Right.
It's, that kind of phase is over, I guess. So I don't know if we're going to see that just for a little while. It's going to be kind of the multi-generational thing just to get by until the market kind of levels out again. But yeah, it's a interesting.
You have also the people that are on fixed income and everything's increasing and their taxes are increasing, their insurance is increasing, they're used to paying a certain dollar amount for their own mortgage. They go to the grocery store, they're barely making ends meet because the income's not increasing.
The $1,000 a month mortgage is gone.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's absolutely gone. But that's why, hence, Barndominium's affordable housing. And honestly, Nick, I don't like that term, and I think we need to change it. I know we talked on it briefly, and although it's affordable housing, I think does it devalue? I want everyone's opinion. Does it devalue saying
I'm
affordable
a bad
housing?
person to ask because when you talk about affordable housing to me,
Right.
I'm thinking of somebody that's not able to afford something, somebody that is starting out or is struggling as far as finances go, or something's taken place in their life that they're not able to have that American dream of homeownership, which is
Well,
very different than.
No, but at the same time, we are making it affordable at
Yes.
$130 a square foot. But for the reason what you just said, it devalues. I can't think of another way to say it. Kind of devalues or is diminutive to the value that we're bringing for Barndominiums. What do you think?
Stop saying it.
Damn it.
Now we're bringing attention to it.
No, but I mean, like that's what we talked about briefly, right? Like, is it industrial housing? Is it metal housing? Is it like what is it?
That's the whole thing. Is that I think there's.
I don't like either one of those terms.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, when we start talking about barndominiums, it's still housing. It's
Yeah.
still a house being built. It's not necessarily something that we gotta segregate so far away from conventional homes. It's
Yeah.
more of like it's a style.
Yeah.
It's a
It's a lifestyle.
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, we're building it out of metal, but I mean,
Right.
people have switched from wood studs to metal studs.
Yeah.
20
I think
years
before
ago.
we were talking about the metal being even better construction than our regular homes that are being built now,
Yeah.
for example.
Well, I mean, no termite damage.
What about storms?
It's rated. It's rated for your hurricane rating.
And that's one of those biggest misconceptions about any type of construction. Like before we used to get the, hey, which is better, block or frame? Well, we're building a new house, we got to build it the same wind code wherever we're building it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's got to meet the minimum for whatever that area
I guess
is.
when you drive by and you see a whole bunch of wood and no block, and you're like, oh my gosh, the storm's gonna come through and literally blow that completely away. It's all wood.
I mean, if you look at any footage on a shoreline, especially in North Carolina, South Carolina, I mean, the block, there is a stronger, right? I mean, there's stronger strength to obviously block, but than wood. But this metal with your red iron, that's solid construction. I mean, it is very solid construction. And on the interior, you have your wood frame because you're framing out everything.
Sure.
But it is very strong and it meets code, so it's not an issue. I'm not even concerned about that being a question anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I guess it makes sense though, because you got to think how a block home or a wood frame or, the mix of both, if you're talking about the 2 stories, those are all pieced together. And metal isn't. You're not going in there and putting it like piece by piece.
They're just larger pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great example. I mean, we saw in the villages it was 2007, we had that tornado come through. There were some issues with the way those were constructed, and they weren't getting straps in the right spot and stuff like that, and they lost a lot of roofs just from improper construction. What we're doing, that's not even a possibility.
Nope.
It's
Actually, explain that, the difference between your soffit, where your wind blows and your soffit comes up through and up into the eave.
Yeah, so if you think about the way that our barndominiums are actually put together, so you basically have these mainframe metal structures that are going up about every 20 to 25 foot apart. And then in between each of those, they're being connected by what we call girts on the side, which are basically like horizontal metal pieces, and then purlins on top, which connects all the roof together. So that's what your metal's actually being attached to. It's not really being attached to the mainframe pieces. It's being attached to all the stuff, the webbing that goes in between it.
Okay.
On a traditional house, you'll have the block wall or the frame wall, and then you have a truss that sits on top of that, and then you have a metal strap that holds those two together, but they have overhangs so that we can get ventilation through. So it's meant to suck air in from the bottom of your soffit and let it out through the top of either a ridge vent or some type of, you see the kind of like dome vents and stuff like that on roofs. It's all to go ahead and suck air through the roof and try to turn over that air. We don't have any of that on our stuff. So it's all one solid piece. It's all solid insulated. We don't have to worry about attic space or anything like that. And in doing that, we don't have additional areas that can catch wind. So it's kind of like thinking about one, sealed sphere that wind's going around, or,
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. That's why it's number 1. What else you got, girls?
I want to know how long it takes to build from, I know you wait that 28 days for the concrete, but like from the time that you've chosen your lot to clearing it to whatever, how long does that whole process take?
So our
from
build
start to
time
finish?
is 6 months, right? So that's from slab to finish.
Okay.
Roughly permitting 40, 45 days, right? And then you have, when you meet with Nick, you meet with myself, we do the design. That usually takes about 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, right? I mean, that's where we're at. Then, okay, hey, everything's great. This looks fantastic. We want to submit. Then we submit to permitting. While that's being submitted to permitting, you're coming out. The person's coming out. We're picking all your tile, your luxury vinyl planking, your cabinet, your fun stuff, right? The Candyland stuff.
Yeah.
So you're picking out all that stuff. And then once that's over, we try to mobilize. What do we think about? Within 30 days after permit, we're trying to mobilize is the goal to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I would say that's on the upper end of things. I would say you've got a pretty good chance from the day that you sit down with us and say, hey, I want to go ahead and put a down payment on getting plans, to the day that you get keys in your hand, you're between 9 and 10 months.
Right.
Okay.
Which is great for essentially a custom,
Yeah, they're picking anything
Oh,
that they
it's,
want.
Yeah.
because I think if you were planning on doing that with a regular block home, you're probably looking at close to 2 years.
Well, it's a year and a half right now for
Yeah.
sure. And I will tell you this: it's not like that. And I'm not dogging mass production builders, but when you go in there, A cabinet, B cabinet, C cabinet, done. A, B, C floor, done. It's not like that. Like, you're coming in with us and you're getting to pick what you want, within reason. Otherwise, if you're picking something that's an exorbitant amount of money, then, you're going to pay above and beyond that. But
Right.
we're that contractor. Someone asked us this the other day, like, what about fans? What about this? What about that? We're not going to nickel and dime and say, okay, here's the fan you can get, and we're going to tack on 15%, which, by the way, the majority of builders in today's world, that's how they make their extra money.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to actually give you our contractor discount. We're going to tell you where to go get your fans, and then we're going to install them. Like, we're trying to think of every which way where this house can be affordable.
That was one of the things on my list is upgrades, because we were talking before that you can have your basic,
Yeah.
floors or cabinets or, whatever. But you had all these upgrades that you had the ability to do. You were talking about the digital
Yeah,
selections
well, you're
and
gonna.
stuff.
Here's the goal. Like now, mind you, we're just being super transparent, right? Like he has all these years of construction experience. I have all these years of construction experience, right? We're also building a new process. This is Barndominium, like this is a new process. So we want to streamline things. So we've looked at other companies
Modern and
like
trendy.
Tesla, like iPhone, like Apple, and we're like, how do they streamline things? So if you can come and think, like picture this, you come into our offices, right? You come into our model center, and then on a screen you're able to pick. Well, hey, I want to put a putting green with this. I want to put a pool with this, and you click and deliver, click and deliver, click, and then it prints out like exactly what you want. Like you talked about before, the way housing is different now. People want to be in their homes. They want to stay at home. They want to be entertained at home. So if you want to have a stock pool, like because it's kind of cool with the stock pools now, like you can click on Gypsy pools. If you want to have a putting green, you click on that. It's to give you those options. We're trying to streamline it and to change things up. I don't want to. It's got to be a different feel. It's got to be a different experience. And the beauty part too is we're so young in the company, in essence, that it's going to be Nick and myself. Like that's who you get. We're not passing the buck to the next person. This is who you get the whole entire time. We're the liaisons. We're taking you through the process. So right now, we just met someone here 2 weeks ago, almost done with the plan.
Yep.
Right. So following up with them, saying, hey, we're almost done with the plan. Right here, this is where we're at. We just met with another couple. We just finished the plan. We sent it to them. Okay, now we're going through. It's us the whole time. And then, hey, what do you think about? What do you think about this? Or where do you want to move this? We want them engaged the whole time. Not this is what we're doing and we're done. And how many builders are this is it, deal with it?
Yeah,
Right.
always.
All of them.
Yeah.
Even the custom
You can't even
builders.
you can't even change anything.
No, you can't.
You can't look at. We're in Bexley right now. Not any of these houses, and we talked about this with Home Drafting Services.
we did.
Not anything. Not one thing in here can you change. You have these big lofts, 3,000 square, 4,000 square foot houses with a 20 by 20 loft upstairs. Hey, can I frame that out because I need an extra bedroom for the kid we're about to have? No.
Let's
And
do
that's
it after.
Right,
Yeah.
we'll do it, and then you're paying a crazy amount of money to do it after. That's not what we want. It's a different experience. We're excited about it, but at the same time, like I said, we're building process, and it's fun and cool because I feel like we're the pioneers in this area, right? And what did you say, Nick? It's a matter of time before they come right behind us.
In the next
Oh, as soon as
5
they
years,
start
you're
going
going
up.
to see
They'll be all over the place.
hundreds
You
of
shocked me when you
properties
said
doing
2015 is when you first,
this. Yep.
You want to tell her
8 years ago.
how many plans you've drawn up for Barndominiums in the past year? This
More
is
than
this
you've
is
done in the
shocking.
past
A ton. I don't even have the exact number offhand, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, so, and what was Barndominium back in 2015 has changed from
Right.
what we want to even do now, right? So, like, we've basically made the decision as a company, we're only dealing with red iron. We're not
Okay.
going to deal with tube steel.
Tell them the difference, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's essentially like 4 different kinds of barndominium. You got the red iron, which we're doing. You've got tube steel, which is what you'll see in most of your like garages and storage sheds and agricultural buildings done. You can have what would be more like an Amish style type pole barns where they actually set like the telephone poles in the ground and that type of construction. And then you've got like a frame on slab where it might have a metal roof. So that's kind of like a hybrid model. So what you see out in Texas and Colorado, Arizona, a lot of those areas, that's going to be more of your hybrid model stuff. What we've decided here is that we really only want to deal with red iron right now. You know, that's what we're going to focus on, make sure that everything that we do can go ahead and have the same quality, same standards coming out. The tube steel stuff for us is sometimes hard to get approved engineering-wise as Category 2 buildings. So not to get too deep in the weeds,
Yeah.
but in the building code, you have basically 5 different categories of building. So Category 1 is really low risk of life. That's going to be like your storage sheds and your garages, and there's not a high chance that somebody's going to go ahead and get harmed if that building falls down. You know, Category 2 is your typical residential home, okay? And the categories above that are going to be like your schools, your prisons, and like life critical stuff. Tube steel, we have a hard time with a lot of engineers getting them to go ahead and approve as a Category 2 because there's different requirements for what the actual engineering goes into it. So a lot of times the way that they go ahead and say, okay, cool, we can get this passed as a Category 2 is they just start adding more metal to it. And that's not the answer. You know, that's not what we want to go ahead and do anyway because we're not going to have the same cost savings. So if we just start with red iron, we know that if it works for commercial, it's definitely going to work for residential.
Right.
Have any of you been to Prime 88 in Hernando?
Yes.
So
I love it there.
perfect example. We just shot video there the other day, and you said it. Well, I saw it in the preview. You guys, you'll see it tomorrow. Like it's a red iron building. Like you go into Prime 88, and you see how beautiful they made the facade of that, right? With the landscaping, then you do the wood accents, right? Different awning in the front, and you wouldn't. And if you don't know construction, you wouldn't know any better. And you go in, and it's a full metal building. So it's in essence that.
Yeah, no, I went there, I think for the first time, at the end of April, I went there for my birthday dinner, and I was just blown away.
Happy birthday in April.
Yeah, thank you.
The cool part about that is how open and spacious
Yeah.
you can have all that, right? So
Yeah.
like, that's the big draw for Barndominium is we can go up to 175 foot wide without having to have
That's
any
insane.
interior supports. You
I
know?
was like, dude, when you were outside doing the video and I was inside trying to schmooze them to get us inside, it never worked. My mind was going because that's the first time I've been there. But the space,
really?
I've never been there. I'm sorry, Prime 88. I have not been there.
Ron Smith or
I'm not Ron Smith. That's Ron Smith. He like does hot tub time machine talks and that. But I've never been in that span to where it's a full build out. I'm usually in a commercial building that size. And I'm like, I just thought of the potential of what this can be. This can be that over there. It's you can do anything you want. That's the beauty part.
You're
It's a
building
blank
the
canvas.
shell and you can do whatever
Ready
you
for
want
this?
on the
And when you
inside.
want a freaking remodel down the road, you can change your whole house. Like you can
Yeah.
change your entire house down the road. Obviously, entryways are entryways, but you can change your whole house
And in most cases, you don't need to get a permit for taking down the
because
non-bearing
it's
walls.
non-structural. The only thing you would need is electrical, right? But if your plumbing's roughly in the same spot, like think about that cost savings down the road. You want to remodel your home, and you'd have to hire a GC, this, that, and the other because of the permitting process. Now, not so much. It changes the world.
And aside from that, too, so on the simpler side of things, when we try to go cost effective, our barndominiums are rectangles, right? We're basically doing these rectangular buildings. They're kind of bland, but it is what it is. Those buildings are incredibly easy to add on to.
Yeah.
You know, so you're just adding a slab and just ordering a couple more pieces of metal, and you basically have an extension to the home that's going to be, a third of the cost of, conventionally adding. You know,
Just cutting through a doorway to get into the next entry.
well, exactly. So, I mean, when you add on a regular addition to a house, we've got to figure out how the trusses go together. We got to figure out where the existing bearing points are.
Yep.
You don't have any of that with a barndominium.
Your footer point, support point is where we're putting the iron.
That's exactly it.
It's so cool.
You know?
Like I'm like dorky about it. Like it really is cool, guys. Like if you don't understand that part of construction, it just makes life so much easier. So you don't have to worry about engineering. You don't have to worry about bringing this person and that person and stressing out over it. Like it's just design. So it's kind of neat.
Pretty cool.
And another thing that's kind of piggybacking off of the affordability is the maintenance. I met with you a couple times already, and you essentially don't have to worry about repainting your exterior roof for
25 years.
25-year warranty on the actual color for the metal. Typically, there's a 50-year warranty on the metal itself. But yeah, there is no repainting. There is no re-roofing. We will say
no roof forever. That's a big deal.
Well, let's
right.
bring some transparency to that, though. If you go with the cheaper style roof, which is going to be your PBR panel, okay?
You don't know what that means.
We need the buzzer.
So Regan's supposed to hop in to kind of translate these.
Oh, that's right. We did that last time. I'm the dumbed down stuff guy. But
Can we get a definition?
So a PBR panel of roofing is basically a style of metal sheet where you actually screw through the face of the metal into whatever your support is.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to have like a physical exposed fastener.
and those fail over time.
Well, so when you're screwing into metal likes to expand and contract. Okay, so if you kind of think about putting a screw in something and then that wants to go ahead and get bigger and smaller as the weather or temperature changes, even as the sun hits it, right, it stretches. So what they do with PBR panels is we typically have a neoprene back washer, so it's like a rubber backed washer that goes ahead and screws over the entire size of the hole, and then that goes ahead and basically keeps any type of water out.
Yep.
Okay. After about 7 to 10 years on PBR panels, you probably want to at least have it re-screwed. Okay, because over time, those holes are going to start to kind of oval out.
I'm pretty sure I'll rather pay for a screw than whole roof.
It's a good
Right.
point.
If you
yeah.
remember.
Well, when there's water coming.
Well, I will tell you.
When it's too late.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this too. Things that we're going to do differently is you're going to get a full maintenance package on how to maintain that house. There's a lot of builders that you'll do that, and mind you, I used to do this for a living, right? Like my job was the customer service supervisor for D.R. Horton, the largest builder in the United States, and my job was to walk through every homeowner at the end and say, hey, this is how you kind of maintenance your house. they're not listening to you one iota because they're so excited they're about to go close on their house in the next 30 minutes, and you're like, yeah. But we're going to go through that entire process. We're going to get a manual on that. On top of that, it's going to be something in video, so you can just always reflect back to that. We're just bringing everything into this world, for
it's
sure.
pretty cool, though.
But let me ask you a question because I don't know this answer.
Yeah.
To re-screw, like what are we talking about dollars and cents wise?
That's a great question.
I don't even know that yet. Yeah.
So
I mean, minimal. It's not a $30,000 roof. That's what it's not.
it's
Right.
definitely not. No, I mean it's going to be more on the maintenance side of things. There is a way to get away from doing that too. So you can spend more money up front, and we can go with like a mechanically fastened or mechanically seamed roof, where instead of having a panel that gets a screw through it, you have panels that overlap each other, and then there's a tool that actually bends the metal together. That over time doesn't have anywhere near the amount of damage that like a regular PBR panel would be.
Right.
It's like an extra 25% up front though. So you can either pay the money up front and never have to worry about it for the
Right.
lifetime of the house, or you can go ahead and plan on some maintenance in the future.
You always have solutions. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you have choices, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Different things are going to work for different people. You know, everyone's in a different financial situation when they come to us. You know, some people are planning on doing this all by selling the house that they have.
Yeah.
They have a very specific budget where they want to be, and other ones, they're taking out a loan. They know they're taking out a loan. Doesn't matter where it's at. 25% on a roof cost over the span of a 30-year loan.
No, peanuts.
What are we talking about? 10 to $15 a month.
Right.
It's probably not all that big of a deal.
Right.
It's worth it. We were talking, so we talked briefly about it, but Chris introduced me to a gentleman that has a piece of property off of Keystone, talking about mass development. And to me, the developments, this is what I envision, right? So the future is, my stomach is rolling, sorry guys. It's raw. It is. It's raw. Hot chocolate, water. I've been coughing all. I apologize. Kayla's like, I'm getting out of here, guys. It's disgusting. So,
Where's the hand?
where's I know. I'm sitting here like, sorry. But anyway, sorry. So picture like you're going to a development and it's not asphalt, it's not pavers, it's like a gravel look, real rustic look. You have you're entering into like a ranch, right? Then you got your quarter-acre parcels, and everyone's got their barndominium. Everyone has their little rustic pool, their gypsy pool, or their putting greens. But then think about this: that whole entire community is on its own little solar farm, right? So the whole grid goes down. That development is always running. That's our future, right? Our future is to build those type of developments where they're self-sufficient, they're self-running. You can put the well in there as well. Like there could be a community well. God forbid something goes down. The package portals and all of them, so you're never going to have any packages stolen. We're talking about like drone landing pads for the future because that's where the future's going. Did you see driving in here because the Amazon is in here? Like all the new Amazon electric trucks just got released in the past 2 or 3 days. I'm like, where are we? I'm looking for a DeLorean because like all I'm seeing is all this futuristic stuff. But that's where we're at. So we want to be ahead of the game in technology. We want to be ahead of the game in construction. Dude, for years, I just had this conversation. So I did a seminar with a construction company, and the main question is like, what's next? Is it the 3D printing houses? Is it no? It's metal housing. It's the metal housing. It's barndominiums, and it's the contractor.
Yep.
And then we're ahead of the game. But they'll be there. People will be there. And quite frankly, Nick and I have had a conversation. A big conglomerate can come in 1 second and say, this is what we're doing now. But someone had to start it.
At the end of the day, though, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. You
That's
can
the
go
future.
ahead and let whoever wants to come in and do it.
Yeah.
I think the more people see it and the more people kind of normalize it, it's not going to matter who's building it. I mean,
I'm just
everyone
excited.
right now doesn't go build through Lennar, right?
That's
Right.
true. I'm just excited to be.
There's a lot of big builders out there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be in the front of it. Like I'm just excited to see the growth of it. That we get to pioneer something, and that's really cool.
The funny part is that we were talking about like the white picket fence, like neighborhoods, but
Yeah.
you almost just described it. Like there is no reason that you can't go in there, and that's still that style.
You can still get that feel. We said it before. Is the white picket development dead? To some people, yes. To some people, not so much. But I do think the future, and it's like our kids,
little
like
kids
Gen
running
Z,
around. Yeah.
Gen Z. I don't think is going to care about the elevation of a house. I think Gen Z wants to walk into a box and like their stuff is there and they're cool with their headphones. Like that's where I think Gen Z is going to go with it because it's just a different thinking. And thank you, Jesse, for bringing up our Barndo.build website. Thank you very much for that. And right now, if you go on there and click plans, you're only going to see 3 of them because we have to get some stuff done. But there's the first. I'm sorry, girls, you can't see this. Jesse, I wish we could throw it up on that big screen. But this is called the Cobb, And this is like a really, I mean, it's a really cool plan. What's the size of this one? 18?
That one is 1898 square foot living.
Yep.
I think we're just over like 2,400 square foot total.
Yep.
So it's got a built-in garage to it, but it's still kind of that rectangular style. It is a split plan technically.
You know what I want to see out of this plan, and girls, like I said, I'll have to show it to you. You'll go back and see your video later. Like, I would love to encompass all of that garage, turn that more into living space, and then everyone's asking us for detached garages. Like,
That's what
everybody's asking us.
Here's
That's
what's
what I
happening
want.
with us though, and so over the course of the last month and a half,
Right.
we've met with a lot of people. Okay, I can tell you the Cobb is nowhere near our most popular model. Our most popular model right now is actually the Caspian, and it's a 1,500 square foot living. But everyone is taking that and basically modifying it to their needs.
Right there, buddy.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Modifying it to their needs, but
Do you see it, Lindsay? Caspian? Oh, good. All right, great.
I've
They've
been on the
got it-
website a couple times.
All right.
We've got that set up as well to where we've added a garage to the right-hand side and actually created a hallway through those two spaces. So we've got an awesome set of clients right now that we're doing that for.
Yeah.
We've actually got 3 of those in production on the plan side right now.
I do like that plan, and the reason why I'm saying is I think that even me, right? So I'm a Gen Xer, and then my wife had to have the house, right? We had all that kind of conversation. But now after being in it and having that and the constant maintenance of the older homes, I'm just like, this is such a simpler life. I just want a simple life to where, I mean, that's fantastic. You're utilizing everything is what I'm getting at for square footage.
Exactly.
Every inch is usable. And then obviously the detached garages as well. And then what's really cool is that you have people that want to do, these are like their secondary houses. So they're like car enthusiasts. Like, we literally can put the 3/8 glass, or you can still see into the garage. Now, mind you, we got to worry about carbon dioxide and all these different codes. But you're almost like you see into a car wash. So you can have your cars on display, your motorcycles on display, your side by side on display. It's just different living. It's like
Showroom.
showcasing. Yeah,
Regan brings up all the really expensive things, how cheap these are to build, and then I gotta fight it on the backside and tell everybody, hey, listen, you want the glass. That's
You want to buy everything?
It's more money.
So the affordable house. Do you want me to sell or what? Okay, stop it. Stop. You can be the pragmatic guy, like, oh, okay, numbers, all that. I'm just trying to make money. Okay. No, but seriously, like at the end of the day,
Transparency, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. There's cool things you can do to these things that normally you couldn't do, or it would be, even though it's expensive, it's still less expensive than it would be to do
I was
that
just
on
going
a
to say,
regular
so
house.
if you go and you're trying to buy this $1 million house and you're like, well, I can't have all the stuff that I want, here's a way for
You wanna
you to
build a $1
have
million Barndo?
all
Wow.
the stuff that you could ever imagine in one.
Oh, I mean, that's actually a great point, you know, so if you think about, if you do have that higher end budget, what you could get comparatively in a barndominium versus a traditional home, absolutely.
Anything and everything you want.
I am looking forward to building $1 million barndominium because I know we're going to do it.
Let's do it.
Well,
It's
and that's what makes it so nice, though, is you reach and can appeal to the masses. You can get the people that just want a simple life and they want something that's a little bit more affordable.
Yep.
Or you can customize it and have your own car showroom,
Yeah.
or make a huge wraparound porch,
Yep.
or there's just so many customizations you
Putting
can make.
greens and
You know what's cool too, Kayla? That, and I know we talked about it briefly, but our phone call got broken up. The people that don't want that metal look, we flip the metal,
Yeah, we did
and we can do a board and batten look on the front, or we could even do a stucco look to a house. So you can do the front of it where it really looks like a typical stucco home, because I think that generation's still going to be lingering around that kind of still wants that traditional look.
Well, and I think what we're going to see too is as we start doing more and more of these, and we're trying to kind of normalize and say, hey, this isn't a barndominium, this is still this is a house.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to start seeing these integrate into developed communities already,
Yeah.
where we're not having to go out to agricultural or R1C or any of those zoning type things. And to get those to fit with some neighborhoods, I'm sure there's going to be requirements of hey, you got to have at least a
Aesthetics.
stucco front.
Yeah.
You have at least 2 different differences in elevation. So
I actually was in a development once where the front had to be hardy board, and then the side was stucco.
Yeah,
Just
I
because they
didn't
wanted how to
realize-
match all the fronts, but you could save money on the side by going with the stucco versus the hardy board.
We've done plans in all kinds of different, development districts and stuff like that. There's requirements in Spring Hill that you got to have at least 3 different faces to your elevation. You can't build the rectangular Spring Hill Drive house anymore.
Right. Which is a kind of a good thing, because I mean, it just depends where you live, I guess. Right.
It's what they have envisioned for that area.
Right.
So
Anything's an improvement for some of those areas.
Yeah.
And that's how Florida is. You know, like you have the most beautiful house across the street and then trailer. Like that's just Florida. People don't get that. They come down there and go, I don't understand this. I'm like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I have that conversation all the time. They're like, Florida's really weird. I go, yeah, I've lived here my entire life, but this is how it is. Sometimes you have to drive through a little spotty area to get to the $1 million neighborhood on the water. I don't know.
True. That's so true. Look, even Harbor Point here in Newport Richey, right? You're driving through all the older homes by the Hooters, and all of a sudden, a $4 million home. But it's accepted. It's just the way Florida is.
Yeah.
You know.